girls, and welcome to Kids Church this morning. Kids Church is going to be awesome, so I'm so glad that you're here. We're going to go right into worship, but before we do, we have to warm up. So everybody up on your feet. Wow, that was fast. You're already all standing. Amazing. Here's what we're going to do for our warm up. You're going to pick up your arm, your favorite arm, and we're going to make big circles super quickly. Then we're going to pause and switch arms. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. So start swinging your arm. Not super fast yet. All right, pick up the pace. Pick up the pace as big and fast as you can. Keep going. All right, freeze. Do time to the other arm. Okay. Whew. Ready? Faster. Keep going. Faster, faster. All right. My arms are all ready to worship God. Let's worship together.
Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Press play!
Jesus, we know we belong here because of your love for us that goes on and on forever. Jesus, we know you are with us wherever we go. You're there, we'll always be together.
So sing along with me for all the joy he brings.
It's going down. Get in the mix.
We're not stopping.
Get in the
The
mix.
party's hopping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say, it's time to press play.
Get in the
The
mix.
beat is dropping.
Get in the mix.
Feet are stomping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say, it's time to press play. Press play. Press play.
Jesus, we know we belong here because of your love for us that goes on and on forever. Jesus, we know you are with us wherever we go. You're there, we'll always be together.
So sing along with me for all the joy he brings.
It's going down. Get in the mix.
We're not stopping.
Get in the
The
mix.
party's hopping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say, it's time to press play.
Get in the
The
mix.
beat is dropping.
Get in the mix.
Feet are stomping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say, it's time to press play. Press play. Press play. Press play. Press play. All right, all right, all right. We're gonna break it down one time, y'all. You gotta sing it out with all you got. Y'all ready? Come on, come on. Clap your hands like this. Have confidence to get in the mix. Clap your hands like this. Have confidence to get in the mix. Now clap your hands like this. Like this. Have confidence to get in the mix. Now clap your hands like this. Like this. Everybody get in the mix.
Get in the mix.
We're not stopping.
Get in the
The
mix.
party's hopping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say, it's time to press play.
Get in the
The
mix.
beat is dropping.
Get in the mix.
Feet are stomping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say, it's time to press play.
Get in the mix.
Press play. Press play. Press play. Press play.
It is time to play a game. Help me out, children. Matthew.
Yes. All right, that's enough. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Will It Float, the show where we put items in a pool of water and see if it floats. It's very simple for you to win this game. All you have to do is correctly predict if or if not the object that I'm about to put in the pool will correctly float. Let's start off with something nice and easy. One beautiful rubber ducky. Something come out of it. I am going to place this rubber ducky in the pool of water. Do you think this rubber ducky is going to float? Yes? No? Let's find out. Here we go. it. Congratulations if you got that right. We now know a rubber ducky floats. Let's see what other items we can put on. The next item is a laundry detergent pod. It's got fluid in it, but can't keep fluid under it. What do you think? Let's find out. It floated! And if you want to do any laundry, just send it my way and we'll get that taken care of. The next item, Pastor Jenna's sunglasses. She was very cross about me putting these at the end, but hey, what are we gonna do? Do you think the sunglasses are gonna float or not float? Let's find out. They didn't float! Oh, Pastor Jenna. Too bad about those sunglasses. The next item is a browning banana. I'm sure we're gonna use this to make banana bread at some point, right? Do you think it's gonna float? Let's find out. It floats! Gotta say, I'm surprised. I thought that was gonna sink. Keeping the fruit tradition going, we now have a lemon. What do you think is gonna happen to the lemon? Do you think it's gonna sink or gonna float? Let's find out. It's floating! Very interesting. We've seen the lemon. Now we have the same lemon, but the peel has been removed. Do you think it's gonna float or do you think it's gonna not float? Let's find out. It sank. Interesting. And delicious. Oh! Oh, that's horrible. Okay, next up we have one drumstick for hitting a xylophone. What do you think? You think it's gonna float or not float? Here we go. Wow, that's totally floating. And now, a giant Mega Bloks brick. What do you think? Think it's gonna float or not float? Here we go. So far it's floating, but what if I fill up the inside with water? Do you think it's gonna float then or sink? It's still floating. Very interesting. And the last item for today, one of Pastor Jenna's bedazzled drinking glasses. It's a hefty one, it's made of glass. Think this is gonna float or sink? Let's find out. It floated! Very, very interesting. And the last item for today is Pastor Jenna's cell phone.
No, you're not using that.
All right. We'll see you guys again real soon for another exciting game.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story. Inspired by the book of Joshua, chapters 5 and 6.
For 40 years, God's people wandered the desert. At last, they reached the land that God had promised them. Joshua led them to the edge of the rushing Jordan River.
The priests will carry the ark of the Lord.
The ark was a beautiful chest that reminded the Israelites that God was with them.
As soon as the priests step into the Jordan, it will stop flowing.
Sure enough, as soon as the foot of the first priest touched the edge of the river, the waters parted. God's people crossed on dry land, just as God had led them through the Red Sea 40 years before.
God did this so that all the nations on earth would know that He is powerful.
Soon after, the Amorites and Canaanites living in the land had heard what God had done. Fearful, they retreated back to their towns, including the high-walled city of Jericho.
Oh, great. Like, how do we fight them now?
God will show us the way.
That evening, Joshua left camp and snuck toward Jericho. The walls loomed impossibly strong.
So tall.
As he turned, Joshua saw a man standing nearby holding a sword.
Who are you? Are you on our side or the side of our enemies?
I have come as the commander of the Lord's army.
Joshua knelt down, face to the ground.
What message does my Lord have for me?
Take off your sandals. The place you are on is holy ground.
Joshua tugged off his shoes.
I have handed Jericho over to you.
Joshua listened carefully as the Lord delivered a message, a battle plan unlike any other.
Wow. Okay, we'll do it, Lord.
Joshua called for the priests.
Get the Ark of the Covenant, and I need 7 of you to march in front of the Ark with trumpets.
Sorry, just warming up.
Joshua gathered the army too.
Time to move out.
Like, do we get to attack now?
March around the city.
Just, like, go in circles?
Some of you march ahead of the Ark of the Lord, and the rest of you march behind.
Can we at least shout and stuff? Hey, Jericho, you guys smell like cheese!
Don't give a war cry or raise your voices until the day I tell you to shout. But the priests must blow their trumpets. Forward, march!
The entire army, including the priests, marched one time around Jericho, just as the Lord had instructed Joshua.
Now can we get them?
Back to camp, men. We march again tomorrow.
The next morning, the Israelites marched around the city once again. And then on day 3, once again on day 4, not to mention day 5, and once again on day 6.
We march again at sunrise.
I have blisters.
At dawn on the 7th day, the army and priests formed their strange parade once more. But this time, once they finished marching around the city one time, Joshua called out,
Keep marching!
Again? My feet are killing me.
The Lord has told me we must march around the city 7 times today.
On the 7th time around, the priests blew a long blast on their trumpets.
Now shout! The Lord has given you the city!
Yeah, smell like cheese!
As the shouts of the Israelites rang out in the clear morning air, something incredible happened. The massive walls of Jericho began to tremble. The gates shivered and quaked. Jagged cracks ran through the heavy stones. Rocks began to tumble from the tops of the walls. Little rocks, large stones, giant boulders, until at last the walls collapsed, crashing in on themselves. The ground quaked, and plumes of dust burst into the air. As the air cleared, the Israelites stared in amazement. The city of Jericho stood wide open.
Take the city!
With nothing standing in their way, the Israelites charged right in. That day, they completely defeated the city of Jericho. God was with Joshua, and he became well known everywhere in the land.
Hey everybody, I'm in my seat, got my suitcase over here, and I'm told always that something inside the suitcase is going to help us remember the bottom line for today. The bottom line for today is that we can be confident because God's plan is the best plan. So let's take a look inside the suitcase and see. This isn't a suitcase. Pastor Janet, this is a satchel. This isn't a suitcase. The whole thing's ruined. Okay, I'll try and do my best. Inside this satchel, not a suitcase, is something that will help us remember that God's plan is the best plan. Let's see what we got in here today. Oh! You know what this is? You can see the little month tags on it. This is an old agenda. I actually used this back when I was in university. If you look inside of it, you can see all sorts of things that I had planned. So these are classes that I had to go to. It says here I had there's a class, hanging out with a friend. Oh, hanging out with Pastor Jenna, that's nice. All of these things that I have to do. Now these are all my plans. And you can see that I've checkmarked some of them. The things that got done, those got done very well. But here, apply for passport, not checked off. I didn't make that happen. This, do the dishes, did not get that done. Do the dishes again, did not get that done. So here I can see my plans maybe not always going so well. But God's plans work a little bit differently. For him, he doesn't have a list of check marks that he says, got that one done, that one didn't get done, got that one done. When God puts a plan in motion, it always happens. If God had an agenda like this, it would be check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark every single time. Not like me. I have a couple check marks, but I've also got a lot of stuff that's not check marked so well. So the next time maybe you're filling out an agenda or starting to put your plans together, think about, my plans are okay, but God's plans are perfect. He always knows the right thing to do. And when He puts a plan in motion, it's always going to get done correctly. We can trust that God's plan is the perfect plan because He's so much bigger and so much better than us. I'll see you guys again real soon, and hopefully the suitcase will be back.
Now it's time for
Reveal the question.
Let's open our mail and see what question there is for us this morning. So here is what we're answering together. How do I choose God's plan? So just like in our Bible story, God had a plan for Joshua. Joshua heard God, so he listened to Him, and then he obeyed Him. So just like us, we can follow the exact same guideline. We can listen for God and hear God's voice, and when God tells us what to do, we should obey it and do it. So imagine if Joshua, when he heard from God, said, God, I'm not going to do that. Well, it would have been a completely different story. But Joshua didn't. He chose to listen and obey what God told him to do. We don't know our entire plan for our life yet, but God does. God knows every decision we're going to make, every time we mess up. God knows what job you're going to have when you guys get older. He knows how many kids you might have. He might knows if you get married or what you'll end up doing. But He knows all of those things. And He is the best and safest person to hold our future in. So we can trust God's plan for our life because He loves us and He created us and He knows what's best for us. So how do we choose God's plan? We listen to God's voice and then we obey whatever He tells us to do.
Well, guys, that concludes our service for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe.
That's my job!
Well, I did a great
Hope
job.
you enjoyed Kid Church this morning. See you next week. Bye!
Bye, guys.